Let's get it. Mike Sempervive here with you for the next hour talking about professional wrestling, which is something we do every single day here on the Sports Byline Broadcasting Network. Tune in iHeart American Forces Radio, Cable Radio Network 2, sportsbyline.com, over-the-air affiliates. Maybe you're listening via podcast or streaming video on Twitch or YouTube. However you're joining me today, I'd just like to say thank you. Hopefully wherever you are, it's sunny outside. If not, hopefully it's sunny inside your mind. As you may remember from yesterday's award-winning broadcast, Bryan Alvarez is currently playing Santa at Granny's new residence. He's also got a sick kid, so a shout out to Hanalei. Hopefully she is feeling better. But as a result of those two things, he's not here today. Tried to make a hot tag to Filthy, but he jumped off the apron and left me on read, so he's not here either. It's all right. I'll hold it down the best I can. Before we get into all the nonsense today, though, I do want to send out my best wishes and the best wishes of everybody here at F4WOnline.com to the many friends and family of Jax Dane. Jeremy Lehman passed away on Christmas Day from complications related to a heart attack that he had in November. He was only 48 years old. Dane was a former NWA World Heavyweight Champion. He won the title from Satoshi Kojima in August of 2015, held it for nearly 14 months before he dropped it to Tim Storm. And behind Nick Aldis, he's the second longest reigning NWA World Champion of the last 15 years. He was also a two-time holder of the NWA National title and the NWA World Tag Team title, which he held with Rob Conway. They also toured Japan and got some notoriety there when the NWA was working with New Japan Pro Wrestling. He was in the World Tag League in 2013 and in 2014. And in 2017, he and Crimson had a run under the names of Wilcox and Mayweather for a short time in TNA, where they feuded with Ortiz and Santana of LAX. And very sad, so young, 48 years old, but was very influential in the people that he came across. You have not heard one bad word said about Jax Dane since he's passed away. Was very influential to a lot of people, and was there for the NWA throughout all of those years. So all of the best to his friends and family, and we'll get everything started when we get back from break. Wrestling Observer Live.
Welcome to the special tour of Figure 4 Weekly Headquarters, as promised. Today I will be accompanied by my assistant Vincenzo, so let's get moving. Hey, don't worry about it. Today's a special day, I'll drive. Vince, today's gonna be a good day, so let's not F anything up, okay? Now, I'd like to tell everybody, I just want to give a short speech on the way to the compound here today, and that is that we are going through very tough economic times right now. Right, Vince? It's a time of stock market crashing, the yen is devalued, a time of woe and want. And many of you watching this right now, for all I know, are unemployed. But the good thing is, and I always like to look on the bright side, as Vince is well aware, the good news is that for every dark cloud, there is a silver lining. And the silver lining is that Figure 4 Weekly is doing great. It's a huge success right now. Subscriptions are up, quality is down, profit margins are skyrocketing, things are going very well. So the one thing is that I don't want to make it seem like money is everything, because money cannot buy happiness, but what it can buy is enormous houses, and that makes me happy. So we will be going to see my enormous house, the Figure 4 Weekly Compound, and that's where we're heading right now.
Welcome back to the show. Mike Sempervive here with you. Jim Valley is here with you on Saturdays starting at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, and Andrew Zarian is here with you on Sundays beginning at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. I believe the Josh Nason residency is now all done and over with. You can catch Josh over on the website if you're a subscriber to F4WOnline.com. You got to become a subscriber there, because coming up a little later on, Wrestling Observer Radio with Dave Meltzer and Garrett Gonzalez, as they do every Friday. You should make that part of your day, the same way you should make the wrestling news part of your day. You can find it wherever you find your favorite podcast, or head on over to thewrestlingnews.com and at Wrestling News AV on X and Facebook. Every single day of the year, everything you need to know to get your day started, get you up to date, or get you to your favorite long-form review pod like Wrestling Observer Radio. Dave and Bryan will be back surely after AEW World's End on Saturday night. Don't know about Paul Fontaine, though. Don't know if there's going to be a UFC that takes precedence before they talk about AEW World's End. Not sure about that. Maybe somewhere in, like, Bulgaria, like 7 people are fighting one, but that one guy also has a bear in his corner. This is right up like filthy Tom Lawler alley type of stuff, but they talk about the UFC before they talk about World's End. So, if there's a UFC this weekend, prepare to hear a little bit about that too. So there you go. In this week's Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave writes, it doesn't look like Logan Paul is going to be John Cena's final WrestleMania opponent. Addressing rumors that have circulated online recently, Dave reports that he has been told Cena against Logan Paul is, quote, 100% not happening, end quote, at WrestleMania 41, despite Paul hoping the match would happen, as he was the one who pitched it. Dave does write that in this week's newsletter that Cena challenging for a world championship at the show is a possibility, as Cena may be attempting to break the world title record that WWE says he shares with Ric Flair, which is, I believe, 16 times. So Cena's going to work around 36 times for WWE in 2025 until he's finally all done and wrapped up in December. He is surely getting a world title reign for at least a little bit of time. It cannot believe he's going to stick around for an entire year and not be in the title mix at some point in one of these months. I don't think he's going to fall into a trap where he's feuding with the Final Testament or anything like that. Although, I got to say this. I know a lot of people absolutely hated it. And at the same WrestleMania, there was The Undertaker and AJ Styles out in the field that had the same type of ridiculous movie effects to it going on and the same type of ridiculous lighting. But for some reason, everybody liked that one more than Bray Wyatt and John Cena. Just one time. I need Uncle Howdy to take John Cena back into that portal and we have something wacky happen. Why not? Was it going to hurt John Cena? It's going to hurt, like, Uncle Howdy? Come on, no. I would love to see that one more time. And I still thought that was great at WrestleMania because it was so ridiculous. I don't know how you could take it for a match, take it for anything other than what it was, which was just this ridiculous acid trip. So one more time for that with John Cena and Uncle Howdy and the Wyatt family in 2025. Him mixing it up there with Joe Gacy in the portal ought to be fantastic. Go back to... We can find out, finally, all the way back. We can go all the way back to John Cena and Carlito, now that Carlito is still there. And we can go back to when that guy apparently stabbed John Cena, and Carlito ended up with the U.S. title. Does anybody remember that? I don't even remember who the guy was. I think Aaron Aguilera or somebody like that was brought in for a week, and they said that he stabbed Cena at a nightclub. And then that was quickly dropped. I don't know if things used to be better or not when you have stories like that, but NXT's rating, It was good and it was bad. One of those weird ratings weeks. The pre-taped Christmas Eve episode of NXT averaged 723,000 viewers on the CW network, up 2.1% from last week. It was the largest total audience for the show since October 8th and is NXT's third highest since moving to the CW. The thing is, in the 18 to 49-year-old demo, it drew a .14, down 12.5% from last week. It's the lowest rating that the show has done in that category since December 3rd and ties the second lowest rating since NXT moved to the CW in October. So there you go. I don't know. The one thing I want to see still, and it has not come out quite yet, AEW's Collision rating on TNT, which was 635,000. We know that. That's what it averaged for the entire show, but I still want to see how many people, how many college football fans stuck around and left the TV on for a while through the post-game show and actually showed up. And I'd love to see what the opening number of Collision is. And obviously they did a good job keeping people throughout the show. I don't think that there were 8 million people or whatever right at the start of that show that all decided, oh yeah, I forgot, there's another football game on I got to go to. So they probably did a pretty good job keeping some of the people that they had. Obviously they did with 635,000, but I still want to see what those numbers are actually going to be when they come in. Friday Night SmackDown tonight, live on the USA Network, the Amalie Arena in Tampa, Florida. The only thing announced for this show so far, at least the last time I checked before I started this show, Cody Rhodes is going to be making an appearance. That's it. That's the only thing that has been announced. Earlier this morning, I went to the WWE website where, you click on SmackDown. Usually they have a little preview of what's going to be coming up. Nope, it's still everything from last week's show. So I don't know if this is a mystery vortex show or not. WrestleVotes earlier on today reported that there's going to be a 6-woman tag team match between Bianca, Naomi, and Bayley against Nia, Tiffany, and Candice. And also that Chelsea Green will be getting her United States title celebration. So it's just going to be a matter of who ruins that for her. Sad news for everybody tonight. Everybody light a candle. AEW Rampage going off the air, at least for right now. The last episode on TNT, episode number 177. It actually made it that long. Taped on December 22nd at the Hammerstein Ballroom. ROH World Champion Chris Jericho does not defend against Anthony Bowens. It's a non-title match. Private Party, the AEW World Tag Team Champions, also will not be defending their title. They'll be taking on Alec Price and Leo Sparrow. Never heard of that guy before. Thunder Rosa against Layla Gray, and then Hook against Nick Wayne, I guess, is going to be the main event of the show. So 2 young guys who I guess will be a part of AEW's future going forward. We'll see. When it comes to anybody sticking around for AEW for a long time, I got like a short list of names now of people that I don't think will ever leave. Because there are some people that I never thought would leave. Britt Baker, that I can't see staying. You know what I mean? Darby Allin, I can see staying there forever. Hangman Adam Page, probably forever. Hook, I don't know. Taz, I could see staying there. You can see him not going back. But if Hook gets the opportunity to go into NXT, I'd probably take that deal. I wonder where the Gunn brothers are. Speaking of second-generation people, we've seen Billy Gunn a lot, mixing it up with the Acclaimed and with Bones and Caster and all that sort of stuff. But, what happened to the Gunn brothers? The Bullet Club just kind of disappeared. It became just Juice and Jay White once Jay White got back, but they haven't been around for a while. I don't know what's going on with them. I don't know what's going on with FTR either. I'll probably complain about them after the break. There's not much to complain about today, to be honest with you. You can get fired up about the fact that AEW World's End is this weekend, but people don't even seem to be fired up. If you're happy about the pay-per-view taking place, you seem to be, okay, good, all right. But it's nothing really to complain about right now today. Trying to make something up, I can't. I guess if I was a big NXT Level Up fan, I'd be upset because it's also the last show for them on the Peacock Network and WWE Network. The lineup, Dante Chen in a gauntlet match And Layla Diggs, Kendall Gray, and Carly Bright against Wendy Chu, Lainey Reed, and Callie Armstrong. So, there you go. 2 shows now ending. NXT Level Up and AEW Rampage. Gone but not forgotten. Yeah, they'll be forgotten. A lot more to get into, including the entire lineup for AEW World's End this weekend. What I think is going to happen. Maybe get your thoughts too. We'll be back. Wrestling Observer Live.
Arrived in AEW, I really think it's elevated the women's division. And it's not to talk badly about the rest of the women, but you've elevated the women's division.
I mean, that's why I came here to AEW.
Right.
To put women's wrestling on the map, to make women's wrestling global. And now we are coming to Globe Life Field next year. And women's wrestling has just been better than ever, and I just love being here in AEW so much. I feel like our women's division is one of the greatest women's division in the entire world.
Very cool. And this event is so big, it is a destination for fans all over the world to come here. It's going to be not only an event on pay-per-view, but it's going to be an entire week of things for fans to do. So This is our big event.
Let's go, guys.
What we've done in 5 years, it's very humbling to be here. I get emotional because I think of what AEW's given me. You know, the wrestling industry, when I first started, I think about what the wrestling industry kind of like represented. I saw a lot of, it can chew you up and spit you out and leave you with nothing. And I was really nervous starting my career because I didn't want to be chewed up and spit out and left with nothing. But when AEW started, it felt like a family. It felt like a place that could take someone like me and make something out of it. You know, a lot of people are very consumed with their public image, and they care so much about how they're perceived to the public, but inside they're dying. But the cool thing with AEW is I can look at myself in the mirror and know exactly who I'm looking at. This company gives me so much. They let me do what I want to do out there in the ring in front of all of you, and they let me do what I want to do in my personal life. I am climbing Mount Everest in April. And I'm going to take that AEW flag and I'm going to plant it on top of the goddamn world and remind everybody what AEW is capable of. And then when I climb down from that mountain, And when I climb down from that mountain, I'm coming to Globe Life Field. And as a whole, AEW as a family, we're going to remind the world exactly what this company is capable of. Because it doesn't happen with just us. It happens with every single one of you. We wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for you guys. So thank you for coming out. Thank you for continuing to show the love.
Mike Sempervive here with you, Wrestling Observer Live. Bryan Alvarez will be back with me come Monday. We'll be back on the air with Dave Meltzer after World's End on Saturday night on Wrestling Observer Radio. For everybody that's a subscriber over there, $14.99 a month gets you everything that the site has to offer, including the incredible archive of audio and back issues of the newsletters, plus a ton of site-exclusive podcasts and other content. Twitch offers one free subscription as part of their Twitch Prime, so you can use that on us if you want. Go to twitch.tv/F4W video, hit subscribe. It'll ask you if you want to use Amazon Prime, say yes, And then you have access to Wrestling Observer Live, Wrestling Observer Radio, Brian and Vinny, Figure 4 Daily, and more, all the live shows, as well as the archived content without commercials. If you only want video live and on demand through YouTube, you can do that as well, too. It's $9.99. And select podcasts are also available through Spotify and iTunes for $9.99 as well. For more information, you can go and head on over to WrestlingObserver.com as well. And why not start off somebody's new year with a cameo from Bryan Alvarez? Because if he was here right now, he'd say, hey, you guys know I offer cameos? It would be great. There's a time limit on it, but that's all right. Start somebody's New Year's out by having Bryan Alvarez cut a promo on them. You can do that. Go to Bryan's social media accounts, and you can find out all the information there, too, if you want to do that. If he was here, he'd be ranting about something. I tried to get all excited to rant about something, but there's really not. Like, there's nothing. I can't rant about World's End. I mean, I haven't been moved enough by World's End to rant about it, both either good or bad. You know, on paper, the show looks good. Probably by the time the show is over, I'll think it was a good pay-per-view, but it's always the book endings of the TV, and so much of it that's just not, I'm not feeling it right now. Forget about, like, the Tony Storm stuff. I know that's a big bee in Brian's bonnet, but my thing is the Death Riders. It's the biggest thing, in theory, on the show, biggest storyline on the show, biggest thing that is affecting this company that everybody's got such pride for. It's all about AEW, and it really hasn't moved me all that much. In fact, I'm more interested to see what is going to take place after, because I think Jon Moxley is walking out with the title, but I'll get to that a little bit later on. The WWE post-Christmas holiday tour kicked off last night at both Madison Square Garden, where the Raw brand was, and in Jacksonville, Florida, with the SmackDown crew. Oh, yeah, it wasn't petty at all to put that Orlando show there on Saturday, was it? Anyway, we'll get to that in a minute. Main event at the Garden saw Gunther pin Damian Priest in a steel cage match to retain the world title. Both Ludwig Kaiser and Dominic Mysterio provided distractions to help Gunther get the victory. It was the first steel cage world title match at the Garden in 13 years. After the match, Priest was attacked by Gunther, Kaiser, and Mysterio until CM Punk ran out, wrapped in a bath towel and a shower cap as if he was just summoned from the shower area, came out and made the save and closed the show with Damian Priest, and there you go. Earlier in the evening, CM Punk defeated Kaiser in a one-on-one match, and Dominic Mysterio also was in action, losing to Seth Rollins. It was also announced last night that Raw would return to Madison Square Garden for the first ever Netflix Raw to take place there on March 10th. It's going to be the first Raw in the building since 2022. Tickets go on sale for that come Friday, January 10th. As I mentioned, on Saturday, when the Raw crew goes to Baltimore, the SmackDown crew is moving to Orlando, running head-to-head with AEW World's End. WWE is at the Kia Center, while AEW is at the University of Central Florida's Addition Financial Arena, about 15 miles or so northeast of where WWE is going to be running. I know everybody's like, well, they run there every year during the holidays. Uh-huh. And the timing of this was to put a house show right there where somebody else was running. I just look, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I'm not making any money or losing any money out of this anyway. I don't live in the Orlando area. I'm not torn on which show to go to. I just find it still deliciously petty. Don't tell me that it wasn't. On Sunday, the Raw crew ends up in Chicago while the SmackDown crew is in Miami. On Monday, Raw will be held, the TV taping in Houston, and that's going to be the end of the holiday tour as SmackDown will be in Detroit, Michigan. Netflix has added some sections for WWE programming that is going to be available come January 1st. WWE Raw Classics, which is going to be Big E hosting a, quote, must-see collection of Raw matches and moments, end quote. Then it's WWE Top 10, which is going to be, I guess, just Monday Night Raw, some of the biggest and best matches that they've had on Raw. WWE Road to WrestleMania, which, this is how it's described. The Road to WrestleMania goes through Raw, where WWE's top superstars raise the stakes in must-see matches and thrilling moments. WWE Superstar Profiles. Superstars step inside the squared circle in pursuit of championships and glory. And WWE Legends Profiles, unforgettable matches and moments in the career of legendary superstars. So if you're wondering what is going to be on Netflix come January 1st besides Raw, well, there you go. It's going to be a bunch of Raw adjacent programming and a bunch of stuff that has probably already been aired on Peacock or the WWE Network. They're just going to do some new chyrons for them, maybe a couple new interviews, mix up those, take some out, drop some in, and there you go. That's what's going to be available there. AEW has announced that the Rock and Roll Express are going to be returning for 2 shows. The first is going to be Saturday, January 4th, Collision in Charlotte, North Carolina. The second will be for Knoxville, Tennessee for Dynamite on Wednesday, January 22nd. Ricky Morton is 68 years old. Robert Gibson, 66 years old. They have wrestled multiple times this year. So it may be more than an appearance. It may be some wrestling matches. They had a match at Spring Break, which I remember was kind of fun. I think it was them and Kerry Morton against Nick Wayne, Jordan Oliver, and Speedball Mike Bailey, I believe it was. And they still do indie shows and local shows. They'll show up. So maybe we'll get FTR and the Rock and Roll Express against the Callis family or something like that. Maybe somebody can, Robert Gibson can pin Brian Cage or something like that. Or even better, actually, they can team with the Outrunners, and that can piss off FTR. And they can, maybe further go into the darkness, because it looked like they were going in that direction anyway. They started wearing all black. They started doing the over-the-top exaggerated handshake to the Outrunners. And then all of a sudden, they're getting black hoods put on their heads and choked out by the Death Riders. And then they come back onto TV and cut a really calm promo about it. I miss the AEW tag team division. I got to be honest, even though I never loved a lot of the matches that everybody... I can sit here and tell you, I like watching the Young Bucks against Penta and Phoenix. I do. I like watching the Young Bucks, say, against Top Flight or Private Party. I just didn't love it as much as some of you guys loved it. I kind of liked more FTR and Juice and Jay White. That was kind of more my speed and up my alley, but I can never say anything bad about any era of AEW's tag team division, because it can't be any worse than it is right now. It is the absolute dirt worst, and I would love to see FTR do something. And, feuding with the Outrunners, that would be fine. But, they need more than just to get in there and wrestle. They need some character development. They need a new coat of paint in the same way that maybe Ricochet has it, because the whole humble pie, I do it for my daughter, and I do it because I love wrestling, and I love those 3 initials, AEW. And Cash really isn't saying anything with any conviction. Just, man, I like to wrestle. And they need to do something. And maybe it's not, to me, not join up with the Death Riders, but to have some sort of edge to them where I want to see you wrestle again. And I want to see you in the tag team division. Right now, I just want to see tag teams wrestle that are good. It doesn't even necessarily have to be FTR. I don't care. I just want tag team wrestling back that's coherent and actually good and made to be taken seriously on a regular basis. I know that's a lot to ask for, and I don't care if FTR right now is a part of that or not. I would say before, if you put them into there, automatically the tag team division would be taken seriously, but FTR has been just crapped on so badly and made to look so bad and just been so inefficient as far as being on TV, and let alone when they are on TV doing anything interesting, that I hope they got something coming. And I hope Jay White and Juice Robinson, as soon as Juice comes back, they can be a team again, because I don't need to have Jay White as a singles anymore. I need to have them as a team to boost that division. And so at the very least, maybe if Juice is standing there at some point, when Jay White is cutting a 15-minute promo that's way too wordy and goes on for way too long, they can cut him off and throw the microphone in front of Juice. Because Jay White, I thought he was going to be a much bigger star than he has been. One of the reasons why is because of his promo ability, and I still think it's there. But, somebody needs to slow him up, take out some of the verbiage, speed up, don't have so many breathy pauses between. I don't know what it is, but like this run in this main event situation leading into this title match, it has not, to me, the people that like Jay White because they remember him from New Japan, they like him, but I don't know how many new fans he has really made inside AEW and how over his character is right now. Maybe I can whine about things today. Anyway, I'll whine a little bit more about the main event and the rest of the card. At least I'll run it down when we get back from break. Wrestling Observer Live.
Just a quick note before this free video. If you click like and subscribe, I'd be very thankful. Okay, can everyone hear it?
Yeah.
There's a mystery bell at Granny's house. She can't hear it. Take off your headphones for a second.
I had them on wrong anyway.
Okay.
I can't get them on right. What?
Take them off and listen.
You have in your elbow? Is the fan on a computer?
Nothing.
All right. Well, this is going to be an exciting show.
Gonna have bells ringing through the whole thing, and it's every week. It's got to be me.
Do you have a neighbor that's an ice cream man
No,
practicing out there?
I got a neighbor that smokes marijuana.
I'm sure you do. I guess
Whatever that noise is, I mean, it's still going.
Yeah, it's not going to stop, dude.
Brian, do you want me to get off here and go see if open the door and see if there's anything out there?
You think something's out the front door?
Has he been ringing the bell the entire time?
Yeah. No, Granny, you don't
Let
need
me
it.
in! Let me
it's
in!
It's fine. It's fine.
If it's death, don't open the door.
Thank you, Craig. This person thinks it's a stove timer.
Have you burned the roast?
No, I don't have a stove. You want me to just get off here?
No. We're going to barrel through it.
I'd love it.
You're not even doing anything. Granny, Nick says that you've got an old-fashioned analog alarm clock in Terry's bedroom.
I don't know. I got a new alarm clock. Battery operated. Is that what she meant?
Well, whatever it is, it's going haywire right now.
Oh, it might be my alarm.
Do you think?
But it's way back in the bedroom.
Don't worry about it right now. But when the show's over, you might want to go...
That's what it is.
Okay.
Solve the mystery.
Is there a reason you didn't turn it off when it started ringing?
Well, I wasn't in there. I didn't.
Duh.
I took a nap. I took a nap and set the alarm. I thought I shut it off, but I probably didn't.
No.
You probably didn't.
That's life.
I would say with a good deal of certainty that you didn't turn it off.
Brian, that's life around here.
Yeah, I'm well aware. I do the show with Dave, too.
Say,
Hear all sorts of things in the background.
did I do that? You know,
Yeah, you did do that.
or I thought I did that, but I didn't.
in there.
I wake up and I see lights on, and I say, I didn't turn those lights on. What's going on?
Maybe the place is haunted.
Could be.
Okay.
It's my brain that's haunted.
Well, I hope not. Instead of suffering through the YouTube chat, click like and subscribe.
Welcome back to the show. Mike Sempervive here with you, Wrestling Observer Live. AEW World's End coming up Saturday on pay-per-view. Just before we get to that, just got the most WWE text possible. There are going to be 2 documentaries about the Netflix debut. Of course there are. It's going to be the Netflix documentary about the Netflix documentary. There's going to be a WWE documentary about Netflix doing a documentary about it's going to be, yeah, I could see plenty of these things happening. Especially what's the new show that they got there? The was it Legends, Futures, Greats, or whatever the hell it is, the LFG one. There's going to be a documentary about that surely too. It's just going to be nonsense. Speaking of nonsense, if you like nonsensical wrestling, Actually, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say nonsensical wrestling, but Game Changer Wrestling this weekend. The Take Care show on Saturday. It's not nonsensical. It's more of a carnival. You never know what you're going to get when you go to a GCW show. I like GCW shows. I know some people hate them. They think they're all death matches, all that sort of stuff. No, it's a Lollapalooza, okay? You're going to see like the Rock and Roll Express. Where else can you usually still see the Rock and Roll Express? You know, you get to see them on a GCW show. You get to see young guys who are going to be really good, maybe in AEW, maybe in WWE one day. Guys like Jordan Oliver. You get to see people that, you know, will never be in a major company, but they're on the like Effie. You know, he's just too hot for TV, too hot for some owner's sons. He is going to be a GCW person forever. And you get somebody like Mance Warner, who's defending the GCW title against Masha Slamovich this weekend in Seattle. Bryan Alvarez, I don't believe, is going to be at that show. I'd love for Filthy Tom. Maybe that's why Filthy just left me on read, didn't hit me back. Maybe he's going to be on that show. Maybe after Josh Barnett wrestles the one called Manders in a Bloodsport match, Filthy can attack him. Attack Josh Barnett. Attack both of them. Just beat them both up. Choke them both out. Make a stand, Filthy. All right? Tired of this Matt Riddle stuff in MLW. You need to go out there and draw blood somewhere. Also on that show, Super Crazy against Matt Cardona. Bollywood Boys against Joey Janela and Megan Bayne. Wasn't Megan Bayne supposed to be in AEW? Why is Megan Bayne not in AEW right now? Anyway, Rich Swann against Gringo Loco and Alley Catch against Viva Van. Nothing wrong with that show whatsoever at all. That's going to be on Triller TV. Also on Triller on Sunday is going to be Defy Blueprint. Didn't see a card for that show, but with all those GCW folks there, with Josh Barnett there, I can see some sort of crossover going on. Will Bryan show up to that show? Probably not if he's not booked. We'll see. AEW, all in, obviously. I was talking about that a little bit before the break. I'm sorry, I'm just not into this whole Death Rider storyline, and I don't think it has been presented very well. I don't think it's been presented as coherently as they believe it may. They may believe that it is, as far as people really catching subtle things. I don't know. You know, it's one of those things that's like on that Collision. FTR, they show Orange Cassidy being stolen out of the arena, and then they throw it to break, and then they come back, and FTR is doing a calm promo, but then all of a sudden, over here, just randomly, they're trying to kill Orange Cassidy. The same Orange Cassidy who was in a party match a couple weeks ago on Collision. This guy who's been involved in this blood feud that's been going on. He didn't even team up with his conglomeration partners. And oh yeah, this guy already lost to Moxley. Why is he getting another shot? Hangman Adam Page, that dynamic of him being in there. This whole thing, I just don't like it. And I don't like how it's been presented. I guess I'm an idiot. I guess I don't watch enough movies. I don't know. What book should I be reading to try to figure out what this is supposed to be? How it's playing out right now, I don't hate it. I just don't think it's effective at all. It's certainly not very compelling to me. I don't love it, but I think Jon Moxley's going to walk out of the four-way still holding on to the title. And will Christopher Daniels screw Hangman Adam Page? Does Kenny Omega and do the Young Bucks make a grand return if the Death Riders are killing Orange and Page and White at the end of this thing with Moxley, and they're trying to make all of them drink poison and drink Matt Cleaner? Do they show up? Because all of those guys, you know, all the Death Riders and Omega and the Bucks, all those guys are going to be in Japan for the pay-per-view, an AEW pay-per-view you got coming up days later on January 5th. Do you do something on this show? Because here's the thing, there is, you know, Collision is going to be taking place after, right? Yeah, so, no, Collision will be Saturday, so you have that, but you don't have Dynamite. Not for a lot of your fans, you're not going to have Dynamite, maybe on DVR, but Dynamite next week on the 1st is going head up with football games that are going to absolutely ruin it. You got Oregon and Ohio State are at 5, Georgia and Notre Dame at 8:45. It's just going to be a blanket of people watching ESPN and watching college football. Your rating's going to suck. It's going to be a terrible number, surely. So, yeah, you got Collision, I guess, to lead in to Wrestle Dynasty. But if you're going to try to hook fans, like, you may want to do it at the pay-per-view. You may want to do something after that gets people talking about what may be taking place and why you want them to spend their money, try to get people to spend their money on the 5th. We'll have to see. Does Christian try to cash in at the end? I don't love that idea, but him possibly trying to cash in to give a big ending to this thing. Maybe I can get what I want, which is Samoa Joe shows up and just actually murders everybody. Like, he kills all of the Death Riders. Like, he can't do man-on-woman violence, but, Marina Shafir's been choking everybody out with a figure 4 around their throat, grapevine their throat and choking people out like Commander. Have Samoa Joe do that to her. Do something. Just kill everybody. Kill Orange. Juice him. Make sure he's done. Spit the pits out. Be done with that dude for a while, because I think he needs to go away for a while. And I'm an Orange Cassidy fan, but not at the level of being in the world title picture. And after I've seen it now, seen him be built up to this, see the promos, all that sort of stuff, I guess it was a nice try. Slide him back down again. In fact, make him disappear for a while so when he comes back, it's actually fresh again. I would like that. Hangman Adam Page, I don't know. Again, why Christopher Daniels said something to him makes me think that there's going to be some sort of screwiness going on there with him and with Jay White. I don't know. I don't know. Jay White, I think, he's great in the ring. That's the one thing about him. I love watching him wrestle in the ring, but from here, what? Where do you go with him? I don't know. Continental Classic, a lot of talk about this. As great as Ricochet's new character is, he's the one person that absolutely, to me, has no shot to win the Continental Classic. And I know people want to see Will Ospreay and Ricochet again. I get it if you're a fan of watching them do their matches and think, okay, well, they left some on the table anyway in their last match, and I want to see it. I don't think you want to see it right now. If you really are a big fan of Ospreay and Ricochet in that match, like, Ricochet is going through a change in his character. Him losing to Ospreay, even if it's a great match, I don't think that gets you anywhere. And sure, it can be a win for Will Ospreay, but okay, he beat Ricochet. Doesn't have as much oomph as him defeating Kazuchika Okada, which is possible. But I'm going with Kyle Fletcher and Okada. Again, Ospreay, Fletcher, Okada, I think any of those three guys can win it, and you have a little bit of a story. But I think it's going to come down to Kyle Fletcher and Kazuchika Okada. And I think Kazuchika Okada and Will Ospreay. And I think Okada's going to beat Ospreay. And he's going to be the Continental Champion again for another year. And to be honest, I don't see Okada doing any more than he has already. He's not on the Japanese shows coming up. We've seen him wrestle in the tournament. He has been fine. The days of Tokyo Dome Okada, that's gone. Unless somebody is going to pull it out of him every single match. Will Ospreay is probably not going to take lazy Okada for an answer. Samoa Joe is not taking lazy Okada for an answer. Jay White, I wouldn't think, if put in there. They're not just going to do what Okada wants to do. They're going to push him. And unfortunately, you're not going to push him for an entire year. So him walking around with that Continental Classic title belt on his shoulder, just sticking up his middle finger and being this version of Okada, I mean, why not? I mean, what does Kyle Fletcher get out of being Continental Classic champion? What? So Don Callis can point to the belt and say it doesn't do anything here. And him losing a good match, hopefully it's a great match with Okada, but him defeating Ospreay again and being another thorn in Ospreay's side, because again, those two are going to wrestle on a real pay-per-view, but be the pay-per-view main event of a show in the future. Possibly coming up in Australia. Maybe that could actually be. I know Tony Storm's going to be there, but Ospreay Fletcher as the main event there, with Ospreay having to put something on the line to get another match with Fletcher, having to give something up because Don Callis is saying, no, we've already beat you a couple times. We're done with you. You're old news. Ospreay having to do something. I think you could do something like that. You could. But, for right now, Fletcher beats Okada, moves on, loses to Okada. I don't think Fletcher loses anything in that. He can be on to bigger and better things if that's what you want him to do. What's also interesting, too, with Will Ospreay, as I just jump all over the place here, is Darby Allin talking to him about the Death Riders and needing him to be as part of Team AEW. And what Ospreay said was, hey, once all this stuff is over with, after I win the Continental Classic, I'll be there by your side. I don't know. I don't think the Death Riders thing is that over. What's one thing you can do to try to pump up some interest in the Death Riders deal? Moxley and Ospreay and Darby Allin being involved in that mix. Ospreay being dragged into that. Now, if you don't like any of the stuff, you think he's going to be dragged down by it, I get it. But if you're trying to really add some oomph and some enthusiasm into the Death Riders deal, well, start lassoing in Will Ospreay, who's the most popular guy in the entire promotion. When it comes to the Dynamite Diamond Ring, Adam Cole and MJF, I'm going with MJF winning it. If this storyline played itself out perfectly and everything went the way it was supposed to last year and Adam Cole doesn't get injured, okay, he can beat MJF for the Dynamite Diamond Ring and babyface MJF can fight back up from the bottom to get it back. But you know what? I don't think that's going to be the case. Taven and Bennett, I don't know if they're going to turn on Adam Cole or not. I would think that they are. Sometimes the most obvious thing is the right thing to do. I mean, who wants to cheer Taven and Bennett? So go ahead and have him turn on them. Now, will that be the finish? I don't know. Wardlow? Maybe it's him. Maybe Adam Cole knows he's being set up and he's placed a call to Wardlow because he knows Taven and Bennett are going to turn on him and he can't trust the devil. Maybe that's how he wins, but to me, that's the only way Adam Cole can get a victory here. Otherwise, why would you have MJF lose? He doesn't wrestle enough for him to lose, especially when this storyline has been as bad as it's been. The international title, Konosuke Takeshita and Powerhouse Hobbs. I love Powerhouse Hobbs. I don't think they've maximized him coming back. Could we see a Mark Davis turn on Hobbs and that gives Takeshita a victory? It's possible. The one thing I know is Takeshita is going to be facing the winner of Shingo or Ishii for the Never title on January 5th. So I think he's holding on to the belt. Mercedes Moné, Chris Statlander for the TBS title. Got that one match. You know what? I'll hold that. I could give you my thoughts right now because, they're not very expansive, but when the music is playing, I can make it a tease. We'll be back. Wrestling Observer Live.
Excuse me, the twins. Yeah.
this thing. Wrestling Observer Live, Mike Sempervive here with you. Mercedes Moné and Chris Statlander for the TBS title. Could this be Camille's revenge? Is she even still there anymore? Is she hanging out with Miro somewhere? I don't know, but if Camille is still around, then maybe this is the thing that they can do. They can have her cause some sort of distraction. Now, I don't want to see Mercedes Moné and Camille feud. I don't think Mercedes Moné wants to feud with Camille, but you could do something there and have a short feud go on for a little while. Could Willow Nightingale get involved somehow? It's possible, I guess. I don't know. I just like the idea of Statlander winning the belt, and then after Julia Hart finishes up with Jamie Hayter, you got Statlander and Julia Hart. And you got Mercedes maybe going after the AEW World Women's title. I mean, that seems to make sense. I mean, she's gone as far as she can with the TBS title. It would be more prestige when she's running around with the World Women's title. And I don't know how long Mariah May is for it. Thunder Rosa and this Tijuana street fight that is going to be taking place. It ain't going to be there. So Toni Storm winning the belt from Mariah May in Australia, then moving on to face Mercedes Moné. I mean, that to me is a, no pun intended, a money match. As much as you can have one in AEW with the women's division, Toni Storm and Mercedes. So I would be building to that, but Mercedes is going to have something to do for a little while. And, Camille could be that thing for a little bit. Willow Nightingale could certainly be that thing as well, too. So we'll have to see what happens. AEW All In. The one thing about these shows, these pay-per-views, whether you love AEW or not, you usually get your money's worth. Again, it's always the TV you got to worry about. We'll see how everything shakes out. I want to thank all of you out there for watching and listening. I hope your holidays have been well. I hope your Christmas was great. I hope your Hanukkah has gotten off to a great start. I hope your Kwanzaa has gotten off to a great start. I hope your Boxing Day yesterday was just returning packages and not fist fighting your in-laws. I want to thank producer Daniel. I want to thank engineer John and all of you out there for watching and listening. We shall talk to you again after a while.